Derrick, how would you assess the overall talent level that you inherited?
Well, I think we have a lot of talent. We're built, from the back end forward. We have some seniors up front, that'll play a lot of ball right here. Darryl Taylor being one, has done a really nice job this spring. Daniel Batuli in the middle has done a really good job quarterbacking the defense, getting us lined up, getting in and out of checks. Has done a really good job leading by example. And then if you look at the back end with Nigel Warrior and Balin Buchanan, although Balin is out this spring dealing with some circumstances, both those guys are out there every day being consistent leaders, and we have plenty enough talent to be successful on the defensive side of the ball.
Other questions? Blake and Steve?
Derrick, what did you learn from your year working with John Gruden?
Oh man, learned a lot. Coach Gruden he's a ball guy. Everybody knows that. He's very intense, very thorough in his preparation and how he goes about his business. So I learned a lot about how to build a team, how to run a team, how to manage a locker room through the highs and lows of our seasons last year. So I would say I learned a lot from him. I consider him one of my friends. We still talk on a daily basis and stay in touch very closely.
Yes, about Gruden. I'm just wondering, in general, having an NFL background, having an SEC background as well, how much does that help you in your current role, do you think, the fact that you can tell these players about what it's like in the next level and having been coached against some of these teams in the past?
Well, I mean, if we're recruiting the right guys, all the guys that come here and that are in our program now, all of them have goals to go to the next level. So with me having the NFL experience, I think that just gives me a little bit more credibility with the guys, because all of them are always asking about how's the league, how's practice different than what we do here, how's the 16-game schedule with the preseason. So I think it gives a coach a little bit more of a credibility factor when you're dealing with guys that want to go to the NFL versus a guy that may not have had that NFL experience moving forward.
What about the SEC background as well? Does that help you?
I think it helps because most of the guys in our room on all sides of the ball, I've recruited a lot of those guys, from D'Angelo to Nigel, Balin, a lot of those guys, Darryl Taylor. We've all known those guys for a while. So coming back here, there was not any new faces, so to speak. It was just me getting acclimated on how these guys have matured in the year that I was away from college football. So it's been an easy learning curve.
Wes and Jesse?
Derrick, obviously you had a good job and you probably had some opportunities other places you could have gone. What made this the right situation, and how much of your relationship with Jeremy, how important was that?
Well, I think anytime you take a job, you got to create value for yourself, and you also got to take in the family factor. Being from the South, coming back to the South was very appealing for me. Working with Coach Pruitt was probably the ace in the hole for me because he kind of gave me my start as a graduate assistant at Alabama in 2010 when he's a secondary coach. So me and him have a very, very strong and unique bond. I consider him one of my biggest mentors. He's helped me along the way throughout my career. Even when we didn't work together, when he was at Georgia and Florida State, we've always talked and always bounced ideas off each other. So he's helped me tremendously, grow as a young man, as a young coach. So coming back here, working here at Tennessee in 2012, the familiarity with the campus, the fan base, it was a really easy sell for me to come back.
Jesse, then Brent, and Heather.
With you being the only new addition on the defensive staff, how much have you kind of, before you guys partook in spring practice, did you kind of look at what you were inheriting as the new coordinator, and through these 13 practices, what have kind of been your fingerprints, knowing that, this is a scheme that Jeremy and Kevin and these guys all obviously have a lot of knowledge with as well?
Yeah, from a personnel standpoint, I was at Alabama for 2 years, and before that I was at Kentucky for 3 years. So every year I competed against Tennessee. So I was very familiar with the personnel that these guys inherited. I talked to Coach Pruitt, Coach Rump, Coach Scherer, and Coach Rocker all throughout last season from when I was on the West Coast. So I had a very good idea of what kind of personnel we had coming in here. And I've known these coaches, for 5 to 10 years. I've known Coach Rocker for almost 20. When I was a player at Troy when he recruited me. So the familiarity with getting in here and knowing those guys, it was an easy transition for us because we all respect each other. We all know each other. We all got the right intentions with the kids' interests first and foremost.
Just as a follow-up, but in your 2 weeks now that you are the court, has there been any kind of fingerprints that you personally kind of put onto this defense that maybe weren't here a year ago?
No, I mean, we're going to run the defense, through Coach Pruitt's vision. We all got the same philosophy, same mentality. The main thing is when we turn on our tape, we want to see guys flying around, communicating, and play clean football. And if we do that, we give ourselves a chance to be successful in the SEC.
Coach, you talked about the NFL experience you had. Why did you want to come back to the college game? Was this the only college job you would have come back for because of your relationship with Coach Pruitt? What made this what made your decision to leave the NFL to come back to the college game?
Well, I think the relationship with Coach Pruitt, like I mentioned earlier, was an easy no-brainer for me. But also the opportunity to coordinate defense for the first time in the SEC and at a historic program like Tennessee, where we have unbelievable tradition. We have a great boss in Coach Fulmer who gives us everything that we need and resource-wise here. So to come back to be a defense coordinator and to work with Coach Pruitt, I think both of those things were very, very positive in coming back.
Derrick, you got a couple of sophomore corners in Alante and Bryce that had coming off, I guess, strong freshman years. What are you seeing from them this spring? Kind of where do you see their future, and how good can both those guys be?
Well, I think Coach Pruitt did a really good job of developing those guys last year. Both those guys played a ton of ball as freshmen, so they're not learning on the job anymore. Now it's about fine-tuning their details, their techniques, and going out every single day and mastering those techniques. And both of those guys are ultra competitive. They both got a unique skill set. They're both very different. They play corner very different, but very effective. So we're looking forward to those guys moving forward, being a cornerstone moving forward in defense.
You mentioned Darrell Taylor. He's one of your seniors. What have you seen out of him, I guess, from a leadership perspective?
Well, one thing when you see Darrell, when you turn on the tape, he jumps off the tape. So we all know he's a unique talent. He's the guy that made a decision to come back for his senior year, and we all appreciate that because he's a difference maker. One thing that what you don't see on the field is guys like him grabbing, DeAndre Singleton, grabbing Jordan Allen and bringing those guys along. Even the young guys, I've seen him talking to Jalen McCullough. I've seen him high-fiving Warren Burrell, being positive with the young freshman that we got back there. So that kind of leadership, that kind of flavor is very contagious. And as coaches, you want to always build on that and always promote that kind of leadership.
Derrick, do you think you'd have taken this job without the ability to call the defense? And what did you think about Jeremy's willingness to give that up?
Well, I think it shows that he trusts me. I think it shows that me and him have the same, kind of philosophy and see things the same way. This is Coach Pruitt's defense. I'm just going to do a great job of trying to get it the way he wants it. He's going to let me call the plays, which is very, very valuable for my growth. And we're going to try to do the best job we can as a staff to make sure we have success on defense.
You inherit a defensive line that really, other than Emmett Gooden, didn't play a ton a year ago through, 2/3 of spring practice. What have you seen from that unit, and who's kind of maybe, caught your eye?
Well, I think it starts with Coach Rock up front. Coach Rock comes to work every day. He's the first guy in the building. He coaches those guys with a lot of passion. So you can see that passion trickle out throughout the players. John Mincy's done a good job of developing. Didn't play a whole lot last year, but he's a guy that's out there kind of working hard every day to kind of master his ability. You talked about Emmett. Emmett's been kind of a rock inside. And we got a slew of other guys. Butler's done a really good job inside. Aubrey Solomon, is working hard to trying to master his position. So all those guys are working hard. We just need those guys to continue to work hard throughout the rest of spring and throughout summer and come in fall camp ready to go.
Any other questions for Coach? Ryan?
Derrick, just the first few days of seeing D'Angelo Gibbs back in the secondary, what are your early impressions of him back there on that side of the ball?
Oh, man, I love it. I love it. I've known D'Angelo. We call him D-Lo, short for D'Angelo. I've known him since his 9th grade year. He's a very unique talent. And it's hats off to him that he can go out there in first 10 practice and learn our offense, which is very complex from Coach Chaney, and then come over there for the last 5 and then flip over to play a complex defense. So it's been very, very, a breath of fresh air, so to speak, for the defensive guys, especially the secondary, that he can kind of get in there and fill in right now and not miss a bump as far as learning curve. But he's ultra competitive, got great ball skills. He's got a unique skill set because he's a bigger man. So we're very thrilled to have him over there, and I'm sure Coach Pruitt will figure out where he's going to kind of land in the fall, throughout the summer, and then we're going to make the best decision for the team and for him.
Any other questions? Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank y'all.